All right, so toothpick method actually working. All right, I've been really slacking on the maintenance on the Tekno EB410.2. I've just been racing it all year since I rebuilt it over the winter into the spring, then have been running it. I did not rebuild the shocks, so now the cartridges are all leaking. This is pretty much out of oil now. It really needs a complete overhaul. So I have a ton of parts to do that. I intended to do that over the winter and then procrastinated and never did. So you know, new seals for cartridges, new seals for caps, new cartridge caps, and if you do want to put a new seal in the cartridge, which is the bottom cup that holds the stacked X seals, this is the part number for that. It gives you the O-rings. I did order the titanium nitride shock shafts, which I want to try. They are stronger and smoother, as well as I have the new bottom cups and the new end links, so I can do all that as well. The emulsion screw for the shock cap, as well as you get the new seals for that in with this set is the top seals. Yeah, I just need to do this. Time to tear these apart, rebuild the cartridges, fill with oil. Now, the thing that I really want to do and have never tried is the one part that I cannot find. There they are. The one thing that I really want to do is adjust the pistons. I think I want to take those down to 6-hole pistons, and in order to do that, some people are saying that there's a couple of techniques you can use. One is use a soldering iron to try and melt 2 holes closed. Or the other option, and I think this is what I'm going to try, is a toothpick method where you just jam toothpick into 2 of the holes to block them from the top. So you'll jam it in from the top and wedge them in, and that should block 2 of the holes, and then it'll hold it there on compression, because when the shock is going up this way, it's compressing the oil on top of it. It should keep the stick in, and on the pull down, I think there would be too much friction to pop it out. So that's some tips I was given. So yeah, you can either melt them or plug them. I think I'm going to try plugging first. In case you've never seen what race shock builds are like, I'm partially disassembling the rear shocks right now. I've taken the screw out of the top of the piston, and right now it's just floating on the shaft. And since I'm replacing the shaft and everything, I'm just going to kind of pull it out from the bottom. That's the opposite of how you'd normally do it. But as I'm doing that, I just turned it upside down and I loosened off the cartridge. So you can see here the cartridge seal that I'm going to replace on the bottom threads, and you have top threads as well as your shock caps have seals inside. So that's the sealant there. And then there's a seal on the emulsion screw. Most of the 10 scales are all gone emulsion now. Bladders you only see as a rare option in 8 scales now, in my opinion. Anyway, this is the cartridge on the bottom, so this is the cartridge cap, and then in the bottom of the shock here is like an O-ring, and then a plastic spacer, and then another O-ring, and then a top cap plastic spacer. So I'm going to pull this all out now. I'm going to replace it all anyway. All right, I just wiggled it off. I just had to wiggle it to get the friction to release from the piston to the shaft, and then I pulled it all out. So this is the order of things. You have your end link and the ball cup, and then you have your cartridge cap, inner cap, and then an X ring, and then a spacer, and then another X O-ring, and then your actual shock barrel itself. So I'll clean this out. I'll just spray it out with brake cleaner. And then I'm going to replace this with the titanium, all of it. Pretty much all these parts, yeah, all these parts are going to be completely replaced with new stuff. I'm just going to reuse this screw because I didn't reorder piston screws. I'm going to reuse the shock casings because they last forever. I don't see much problem. Unless you really bend the shock shaft and do some damage or score the inside, these last a lifetime. Correction, I'm actually having to reuse the plastic spacers because I did not reorder them, and I don't know what part number those come in, but yeah, the cartridge spacers, I'll just reuse them. I'm just going to clean them up. So that's this. It sits on the bottom of the cartridge cap and the middle one. All right, so toothpick method actually working. Just kind of wedge it in, and then the trick is don't just break it off. You want to cut it off where you got kind of a flared end, and then you can pound it in. And then on the other side, and you're going to cut off the little tips that pop through, right? It should flare that side too. So I don't think they'll come out. Hopefully not. So how I'm doing it now is pressing it instead of twisting it. Just press it in, because when you twist it, it really kind of sands down the wood and makes it loose. So just press it and then cut it off, and then you get a flared end. Then press it in, and then cut off the tip. Okay, here's all the old parts, and the shocks are on the car now. So fronts are done. I put 600 CST weight oil in the front, and it has 2 of the holes blocked in each piston. So there should be a 6-hole piston, as long as they didn't fall out, which will be hard to tell until I ever open up the caps and look. The rear's on 550 CST oil and also with a 6-hole piston. So I've went from 8 by 1.2 on the fronts to 6 by 1.2, and I've went by 8 by 1.3 to 6 by 1.3 on the rear, as well as the oil. I'm on 600 CST front and 550 CST rear, and all the cartridges are rebuilt with the 1-Up Blue O-ring grease.
So that's going to give Mike the...
Okay, this is going to be the first test. This is going to be the first test with the toothpick mod and the shocks. I'm running 6-hole pistons now. See if it slaps less. Also, I'm just recording it during qual 1 just in case I notice a change throughout the night. This is going to be the first time ever running it, so I'll get you some shots of the first laps.
Yeah.
It should be on my top. I don't know what the heck. Okay, first test with the toothpick mod, 6-hole pistons. Ooh, it definitely feels stiffer. Might have to adjust my ride height, but this is the one where I would normally slap. That's better, for sure. That's better.
Toothpicks are money.
They are, actually. It's a noticeable difference. I'm a little...
How bad was it before? On the line.
Oh, I was...
On the line. Come on, Marshall. On the line. On the line, guys.
With how worn out my rears were, it was like super bouncy last week, like a Tamiya friction shock.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's very plush, but I'm too high. I feel very high and stiff now. With how worn ride height, this is the one where I would normally slap.
You should be marking. And after this, we all get a little break.
So yeah, I'll probably have to adjust my ride height a bit. Okay, feels good. We'll try it in the mains.
Thanks, Brendan.
Alright, that's coil 1 done. It felt better. It didn't feel exactly right, but it's certainly better, certainly stiffer than before. I may have to lower my ride height a little bit, so I think I'm just going to reduce some preload just by a turn or two as I progress through the coils to try and tweak it in.
I can feel one now.
It might also be, a little bit too stiff now, but it's better.